So, I wanted to kind of talk about my first experience traveling alone. I have a couple of different diagnoses and disabilities. I have cerebral palsy, inattentive ADHD, major depressive disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder. And one of the things that I experience is what some people may call place blindness, which basically means I get lost everywhere I go. I have no sense of direction. Um, it's almost as if the GPS or map, my cognitive map, is non existent because if you drop me off at a store like Target or Walmart, I often get lost and I can't find my way out. I have a difficult time finding the exit, and um, it's almost like no matter where I go, kind of feels like I'm in a maze. And sometimes I have to go around in circles before I can find my way out of a place. And because of this, going new places alone is very anxiety provoking. Now, if I'm with my sister or a friend or cousin, it's not as bad, possibly because I don't feel alone and I feel like if I get lost, they'll probably help me find the exit. But if I'm by myself, it's very, very anxiety provoking. I almost feel uh, I don't know. I feel so vulnerable, so nervous, anxious, almost like I'm in the middle of the store, naked. Um, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just very, very anxiety provoking to be in a new place alone because I get lost very, very easily. And I've talked to a couple of other people with cerebral palsy, and they also seem to experience this. Um, Although there haven't been many studies done regarding cerebral palsy and place blindness. Um, and so, that being said, I've never traveled alone. I've traveled by plane once. That was about 2 years ago. And that was on my way back from Mexico from visiting my grandparents back to California. But I wasn't alone. I was with my sister, my nephew, and my son. And so last week, my cousin had a quinceañera and she lives in Texas. And my parents and my sister and my nephew, they all decided to take a road trip to Texas. So they drove from California to Texas, and it was like a 20 something hour drive. But I'm in the middle of a very, very intensive summer class, chemistry, which requires a lot of studying. It doesn't really give me much of a break or much downtime, so I don't have much time to waste. So even though I did want to go to the quinceañera, I didn't want to spend 2 days on the road, and my parents were also going to be there for about 2 weeks, and I just couldn't be there for that long because I would that wouldn't give me much time to catch up on work. So I decided that I would leave last Friday, and that I would only be there for 3 days, so I could attend the quinceañera and be there for another day or two to spend time with family. Um, but that meant that I had to travel alone, and so the thought of me being alone at the airport, just my 7-year-old son and I, was very anxiety provoking. So I got to the airport, and it's the LA airport, so LAX, and it was a little bit scary. I was dropped off at the terminal. I got dropped off at the terminal, so I was like, I think it was Terminal 55 or something like that. And I went through the doors, and then there were a bunch of lines, and I didn't know which line to get into, or even if I had to get into in a line. And thankfully, there were people there working that I could ask. So I asked one of the ladies with a name tag, and she asked me if I was going. She told me that was the the baggage check-in lines, and she asked me if I was going to check in any baggage, and I said, no, I just have my carry-on item, which is like a small uh, backpack that I had on my back. And she said, oh, well, then you don't have to get in these lines. She said, you can go to one of the kiosks and print out your tickets, and then you're going to go all the way down to the escalators and all the way up and make a right. So I did that. I printed out my tickets, went up the escalators, made a right. That's where I saw people going through security, and I went through security. They made me take my shoes off and put my backpack on the little scanner where they were going to go through the bag. And then security told me to go all the way down the hall and make a left. And that's where I was going to find where we were going to be boarding. And so I did that. And so I did feel a little bit lost for a while, because the airport is so big, and then I had to find, like, I don't know, terminal 28, and then there, there's just a lot going on. But thankfully I made it, and I boarded the plane exactly at 12 a.m. on a Friday night. 12 a.m. California time, and Texas is like 2 hours ahead of us. So the flight itself was like 3 hours long, a little less than 3 hours. So I landed in Dallas, Texas at 5 a.m. And then when I got to the Dallas airport, then I got kind of lost again because I was trying to find the exit, and I was following the exit signs, but one of the exit signs just led to another exit sign and to another exit sign, and it just kind of seemed never ending. And then, like, the doors that were by the exit signs, a lot of the times they were like emergency door only. So I was really confused, and I just kept going down, following the exit signs until I found an escalator, went down to the first floor, and then I finally found an exit. So that took me a little bit of time, but other than that, it wasn't so bad. And then I got picked up from the Dallas airport, and we stayed at an Airbnb. And then so I was there for the quinceañera and for a couple of days afterwards. So I spent time with family. And then I got dropped off again at the Dallas airport on Monday night. And this time it was easier for me to, like, I knew what to do. So I went to the kiosk and I printed my tickets and I got in line and went through security and all that. And then I boarded my plane. So the second time around, it was a little bit easier and a little bit less anxiety provoking. The only thing that really sucked is that on my way from California to Texas, like I said, I had a backpack on me. It was my carry-on item, and I had like essentials, like deodorant and toothbrush and some clothes and my son's iPad and my laptop and charger. And I think my laptop was probably the heaviest thing in my bag. So my backpack was pretty heavy, but it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle because I had my backpack on, both straps on. But then both straps decided to rip. So then I had to just after both straps ripped, I had to grab my backpack by the little cloth, like hook looking thing at the top of the backpack. I don't even know what it's called. I'm sure it has a name. But the point is, I was pretty much almost dragging it the entire time because it was so heavy to carry that way because both of the straps had ripped. So it really was a struggle navigating the airport with this really heavy backpack that I basically just had to drag around. So as far as being disabled goes, like I said, I do have cerebral palsy, but it's pretty mild. I do walk with a limp. I have pretty bad coordination and balance. I'm pretty clumsy. I trip a lot. And so as far as my disability, I think the most difficult part, as far as the physical disability anyway, was carrying that really big, heavy backpack around. And cognitively, it was just constantly feeling lost and having to deal with the anxiety. But I can say now that I made it through. I went to Dallas and back and boarded the plane and navigated the airport and all that. Both times on my own, despite it being really, really anxiety provoking. So hopefully next time around it won't be so difficult. And that's just kind of what I wanted to share. Something that I wanted to document because it is a very big accomplishment for me. When you have a disability or multiple, simple things like going places alone or traveling alone, things that may seem so simple and easy to other people are not so simple and easy for us. So something like this may not be a big deal for somebody else, but to me, it's a pretty big accomplishment. So yeah, that I guess that's pretty much it.